segment and bring some drama with the NFL as pertains to Jon Gruden. Yo, I mean, talk about things. You know that meme that picked up from Anchorman that had Will Ferrell's character go, man, that escalated quickly. We sit back in the chair. That happened with Jon Gruden, right? So Jon Gruden's squad went from a promise of 3-1 start to drama all of a sudden about a racist trope he made in an email from 2011 calling DeMaurice Smith rubber lips, right? Which he used which I thought was a BS excuse of saying that he calls people who lie rubber lips. I'm just paraphrasing. And I'm like, come on, we're not stupid. So he also said that, I guess in his way of trying to get ahead of some shit, he said that there are more emails that he was not proud of, as well as because he knew more was coming down the pipe. And boy, did it come down the pipe. Like in 2011, around the time when he made that comment about DeMaurice Smith because he was pissed off about the lockout. Mm-hmm. He made a few disparaging remarks about Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
In some 2011 emails. And I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell, as you know. I call him Goodell. I just have to call him Goodell. But goddamn, you're gonna call him those words?
Yeah.
Those homophobic like slurs?
Yeah.
And the man, Roger Goodell, does have a gay younger brother, which is not ironic, but still kind of plays into that as well. But that's another subject for another time. And speaking of homophobic sayings, he came down hard on the NFL, forcing the St. Louis Rams to draft Michael Sam because they don't, and I'm paraphrasing the quote out what he said, the NFL has no room for queers. And he made some more disparaging remarks about women. Yeah. Showed off like emails, topless cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Used misogynistic language.
Uh-huh.
From ranging not just 10 years ago, going from 2010 to 2018.
Yeah.
All right. Sure, he was not in the league for the majority of that, but didn't Jon Gruden become coach in 2009? Was it 2009 he became coach of the Raiders again?
I thought it was because he's only in year 4 of his contract, which makes me believe that it was 2017.
All right.
I'll check to make sure, but okay. I think it's just 2017.
So either way, this dude was sending these emails around the time where he was about to work for the NFL again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people tickle me. And let me read this statement he made. This is what he said last week. It was Friday, actually.
Uh-huh.
Quote, I was in a bad frame of mind at the time, in 2011, and I called Roger Goodell a bleep in one of those emails too. They were keeping players and coaches from doing what they love with a lockout. There also were a lot of things being reported publicly about the safety of the sport that I love. I was on a mission with high school football during that time, and there were a lot of parents who were scared about letting their kids play football. It just didn't sit well with me. End of quote. Now, the funny thing was, you wonder how they got their hands on these emails in the first place. They got their hands on those emails, while probing your squad, the Washington football team, of their workplace drama and their toxic environment, which came to light last year, which led to my opinion, which one of the factors led to Danny Boy Snyder, the owner, dropping the moniker Redskins from their team. I truly believe the combination of what happened with George Floyd with what went on in his organization, been going on in his organization, coming to light, with the sponsors saying, no more. I think that led to Danny Boy dropping the Redskins moniker, that slur, Native American slur. For those who don't know, if you ask any Native American or do some Googling on yourself, if you don't feel like asking Native American this, that term that I mentioned is the Native American N-word.
Yeah.
That's the N-word. So that's like calling the Washington N-words, or insert slurred Jewish slur or white American slur, whatever.
Well, I mean, there's some fans of the Washington football team that say, look at that N-word go anyway. So it is
Well,
what it
there
is.
you go. So what it is what it is, right? Especially back in the George Preston days, but that's not here for another
Well, yeah, especially
George
back then,
Preston Marshall. George Preston Marshall, excuse me.
George Marshall, yes, sir. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
not to stereotype, but a lot of those Western Maryland fans out there. Yeah.
Oh, you're not stereotyping. You're telling the truth. I'm gonna come out and say it.
Yeah.
I lived in the DC area, as you know, for 3 years
Uh-huh.
in Northern Virginia. That's very true. So
Yeah.
we may piss off some people in Western Maryland, but y'all know we're telling the truth. But that's not here nor there. And he's waking up. I like it. Right quick, a buddy of mine who's from the Eastern Shore area, who grew up in the Eastern Shore, still lives in the DC area now, married to one of my wife's best friends from college. He told me straight up, he's like, Scott, there are 3 parts of Maryland. There's the Eastern Shore. He describes this. He's from the Eastern Shore. It's salt of the earth.
Yeah.
Down home
some
people.
nice people out there. Yeah.
Down home people. You have Baltimore. And then you have Western Maryland, which is, his words, Clanland, Fredericksburg, on that way. And from traveling through the area to go to Ohio to visit my wife's family and driving back, that is very true.
Yes, it is.
That is very, very true. We didn't even bother to get out the car. Once we passed Fredericksburg, we're like, screw this. We're going to get into Pennsylvania first, at Washington, Pennsylvania, where it has a big old rest stop to get out.
Yeah.
We're not stupid. We just seeing shit on the side of the roads and just taking your mental picture of everything around you. That's a very true statement of Western Maryland. So y'all may get mad at us. We're just telling the truth. And you know you're telling the truth. But we're getting off topic now, so we'll stick on topic.
Exactly, right?
My bad. But point is...
No. I kind of baited you on that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. But the point is that with this investigation with the Washington football team leading to these emails from Jon Gruden, one has to wonder if Jon Gruden was comfortable with sending those emails. Nothing is going to come to the light of day. What does it say about the recipients? And I'm looking at you, Bruce Allen. You're one of his best friends. A lot of those emails were addressed to you. Okay? You were formerly of the Washington football team brass during that time. It's you. And Keyshawn Johnson said something very interesting this week. He said that he wasn't, it's not that he wasn't, he already knew that Jon Gruden was a phony. He called him a phony straight up. But the part he was hurt about the most was Bruce Allen, because he's known Bruce Allen apparently since he was a kid. And he was in high school. And so he's used to, like, the point where he had his number on speed dial, saved on his phone. So when he saw that, allow to address to Bruce Allen, to feel comfortable saying those things to Bruce Allen, Jon Gruden did, it gave Keyshawn pause. It's to the point where Keyshawn was like, he came this close to calling Bruce, like, what's up with this? And then he was like, you know what? No. He already knows what's up. So I see him making that look. I know what that look is, but let me get your thoughts real quick, because I think with the NFLPA calling for more emails to be brought today or to be leaked, people could argue, since it was originally a Washington football team investigation and Jon Gruden's emails got leaked, that someone had a hit out for Jon Gruden anyway, which may be true. There's maybe some truth to that. I don't know. But the point is that I think this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I think that there's some things that NFL does not want to come out to light, because if this comes to light that he sent this to owners, and front office types around the NFL, man, oh man, is things going to be popping off with regard to player relationships and trust with these cats. But let me get your thoughts real quick because this is your team, and this is where the Jon Gruden emails came from. So I want to get your perspective on this.
Yeah, see, this is my Martin Luther King pose, right? Let you know that I'm being very introspective, and my hamster wheel is really spinning. So let me start from the beginning, right?
Right.
When the initial news came out about the responses or the comments about D. Smith, that's what I call the Morris, because you're from the streets, call him D. Smith.
Right.
My initial response was very similar to the Las Vegas Raiders, which was he wasn't with the organization at the time.
Correct.
I see cancel culture has gotten us to this place now, right?
Right.
Where we have to defend stuff like this now.
Yeah, and we're not calling for guys to be canceled because of this. This is much more nuanced than that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, when that news came out, my initial thought was he wasn't with the organization at the time. He shouldn't necessarily be reprimanded for actions he did some 7 years before he got with the organization, which was his first season was 2018. Right. And, even Mike Tirico and Tony Dungy came to his defense as well.
Especially Tony Dungy, yeah. Especially him.
And, and based upon the information that they knew at the time, which was about D. Smith, that's why they came to his defense. Not this other stuff, right? Because they probably felt the same way I felt, which was he shouldn't be fired for an offense he committed 7 years before having the job.
Right.
It is what it is. And I hate the fact that people came down on him because of that. But I digress, right? So once that didn't hit the way it was supposed to, I guess, that's when the other Jon Gruden emails were released. Because let's not get this misunderstood. When that first email about D. Smith came out, they had the others on deck already.
Yes.
They just thought that a racial trope would be one to go ahead and get him out of there, not realizing that the Raiders would be like, nah, we're not going to let him go because of that. That wasn't done on our watch. We really can't handle him. They were like, the Raiders are going to do that? Then let's go ahead.
And the people who are defending him about this? Yeah.
Yes. And people are defending him about this? Oh, my God. They're not going to stand up for the black man on this one? Okay, let's go ahead and release these other ones. And I was like, Now, what you're not going to do is be racist, regardless of how you feel about that statement. You talk about, rubber lips is what you call somebody who is lying, whatever, man. You said what you said about CTE, maybe not the right way. I share your feelings, even as a parent, where my thought is, get coaches, train these little league coaches better so they can train these or coach these little kids better so that they know how to properly tackle.
Right.
I don't want to just shut down the game, but I understand why people have fears of having their kids play. I completely get it. But a lot of it comes from bad instruction. You start from the lower level and you rise up to the top and you train these kids to tackle properly. The injuries are probably reduced, but that's another conversation for another time.
Sure. So
the conversations about CTE, conversations about the lockout, conversations about D. Smith, then the conversations about Roger Goodell, all of that stuff, troubling, just not enough to get them out.
Right.
Now you start making homophobic slurs. Now you out there starting to commit crimes because you're sending new photos of people who don't know that new photos are being sent out. And then when I heard Bruce Allen's name was tossed in the mix, I said, here comes Washington. I knew it, right? Because before people started making the attachment to the, I forget the proper name of the investigation, but the investigation that was held last summer, the email investigation, not just the email investigation, but the what's the word I'm looking for here? The the behavior of the organization, that investigation in which the team was going through.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is part 2 electric boogaloo to this. Okay, cool. The thing is, though, how will it be handled as the great Shalimar used to sing, a second time around, right?
Yes. Great song.
How will it be handled this time?
Mhm.
Because as we all know, for those that follow the original investigation, that they had all of the evidence. They were supposed to run said investigation, and oddly enough, the information from that investigation was just tossed to the side, and it was all forgiven, and the hands were wiped clean of it.
Mhm.
So much so that the minority owners that were trying to get Daniel Snyder out of Washington, they all lost their spots. Daniel Snyder got full control of the organization. He put his wife in control of certain things, and now he's running the ship. Now, you talk about the name. The only reason why, of course, the name got changed was why sponsors got involved.
That's correct.
Right? And when the money gets you, the money is what make everybody talk. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because again, this is a business.
Money doesn't just talks, it hollers. That's what Chris.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So when the money started hollering, you got to listen to the money. You got to make a move, begrudgingly so, and that's why the name is no longer what it is, right? But a lot of the people who were involved in that investigation are no longer with the Washington organization.
Right.
So, in essence, it kind of makes Teflon, as I've been referring to him over the past couple of days, Teflon Dan still Teflon, because all those guys who probably attached those emails, with the exception of Dan, probably, and let's be real, Dan was probably a part of those email chains too.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah, so a lot of those guys, because you got to remember, part of the stuff, and I wish I would have thought about it then. When the investigation was going on, one of the things that came out was the fact that, when the cheerleading squad would do their photo shoots out of the country, the swimsuit photo shoots for their calendars, there will be instances where there will be topless or maybe even bottomless photos of the cheerleaders taken, right? And it was asked of that staff to make a mixtape of said photos and videos so they can spread it around amongst their boys, which is why I've nicknamed them Skinzamax, right?
Wow.
So when that happened, I should have thought, hey, maybe they can email these stuff out too. But I was like, maybe not, right? Now we know that stuff was emailed out, and there's a huge chance that those photos that were involved with Jon Gruden came from Brucey B and probably even Jay Gruden, because Jay was here as the head coach too, and that's his brother Brucey B, or AKA Bruce Allen, is also his boy too. So yes, my guess is that all of those photos and all that stuff was involved in those emails, which has now led to those women that were involved in the original investigation to come out along with the NFL Players Association and petition the sponsors of the league to now get involved and work on the NFL to get them to continue this investigation, because there are a lot of criminal suits that are involved in this as well, which could potentially mess up the league money. But mess up the league money through its sponsorships, especially if they do get involved. And that was the one thing I said would have to happen in order for the league to listen. Sponsors have to get involved, and now they've already been petitioned. I'm interested in seeing what direction this goes into now, because one of the things everyone thought would happen didn't happen the first time.
Right.
Now the sponsors may get involved this time again, which will force the hands of the owners to potentially have to remove Daniel Snyder as owner from the Washington football team, which will probably be a lovely day for those here in the DC area. But as of right now, I don't believe it until I see it, because Teflon Dan has been through so much already, and he's still here with more power.
Yeah.
Yo.
Don't you think that sorry about that, but don't you think
right.
the NFL, to your point,
I think that
want Danny Boy Snyder just to go the fuck away. I really do.
Well, now they do, yeah. Because they're like, oh my God, the stuff that we thought was over, to quote Teddy Riley, it ain't over.
Right.
The stuff we thought we were done with in 2020 has reared its ugly head again, but we had to go ahead and get a scapegoat in Jon Gruden because no one else that was probably involved other than Danny Boy is in the league right now.
Right.
So somebody had to take a fall, and the easiest person to take said fall was Jon Gruden. So I want to see how this develops. I want to see how this continues, because I want to see whether or not Big Boss Dan Snyder sticks around again at the end of this, because this is just like a horror movie now. You know, you think that the villain is dead, only for him to come back and come back stronger next go around.
Enter, was it Michael Myers for Friday the 13th or Halloween?
Man, Mike Myers is Halloween, but you know, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, Fred Krueger, right. Don't matter, Chucky, whatever. Well, oddly enough, now that you say that, right? there's some that believe that Jon Gruden decided to resign on Monday because he was taking a new position and a new job over at the Sci-Fi Network, because they're starting
that series,
the Chucky series as of yesterday. But I digress.
That's funny.
But and I want to touch on Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah,
real quick.
Yeah, man.
Because first and foremost, the whole used car salesman thing, and you know, you thought he was a phony, and you went down your feelings with him winning with Tony Dungy's
boys. I saw you give him the side eye look like this.
Yeah, because because he said something. You quoted him and saying some stuff that bothered me to my core.
Gotcha.
If you knew he was this used car salesman and you hated him so much, why did it take you so long to say something, dog? It's been 20 years since you won a Super Bowl trophy with this dude, and now you say something about how bad he is? Really? Now? You had to wait for somebody else to say something in order for you to say something.
Well, I think he's been saying stuff off and on around the time, not when he got released, but around the time when he got released. But there's people come on down him like they come on T.O. They deem him the problem, that other circumstances surrounding the team as the problem has become to light, that there were other issues outside of those two cats.
Exactly.
On those teams. But that's
neither here nor there.
Yeah,
but the one thing I really want to touch on
is
especially your comments that you just said about him and his feelings towards Bruce Allen.
Yes, Bruce Allen.
Right?
Yes.
My God.
Yeah.
I remember there were a lot of people here in the DC area who were happy when Bruce Allen was coming over, replacing Vinny Serrato, because they were like, oh my God, at least a football man is coming through here in DC.
I remember that.
Take over as team president and GM. I still had questions because of his track record in terms of drafting players and turning teams around, because it wasn't that stellar in Oakland or LA before coming to DC. And I didn't think he was going to instantaneously have success coming here. And I was right. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of things that I did not like about Bruce Allen as an executive. And then hearing things before the news came out about the investigation about Bruce Allen and how much of a jerk he is, that bothered me. And then the investigation came up. And then that really bothered me. But yet you thought this dude was a bad dude and was a cool dude. You can see that Bruce is cool, but John is the asshole.
Yeah.
Word? What was your asshole detective with Bruce Allen? I saw that. Outside of the fact that he wasn't a good executive. I saw that part too. Asshole, but you couldn't see that, bruh? Man, shut your mouth, man. You just running your mouth now. I understand that's your job. I get it. But when you come to the defense of Bruce Allen, you really offended me at that point. That's why I made the faces, because I was like, there's no way in the world anyone whose last name is not named Allen or Gruden is defending Bruce Allen at this, or maybe even Daniel Snyder is defending Bruce Allen at this moment. But even Danny had to go through the tough decision of letting that dude go because they weren't doing well on the field
Right.
and they were facing investigation, which makes me believe that that was another casualty of said another casualty of the investigation that went on originally during the summer. So yeah, he wanted to go ahead and make sure that no one else that could potentially be involved that's not named him would be in the organization, like I said earlier. So yeah, I'm just going to wait and see how this all pans out because I think I've already seen this movie before and how it ends.
Well, there's an article on the New York Times. They've been doing a great job of covering this. This one article called "What Gruden's Emails Tell Us About the NFL's Hypocrisy." Basically saying as the league's trying to send a signal about inclusion and diversity. Remember all those ads about NFLs for everyone, right?
Yes.
For
right?
blacks like Hispanics, Asians, LGBTQs, Native Americans, women, right?
Yeah.
But this hate-filled correspondence between football power brokers reveals entrenched values, or is this the real culture of the NFL is about to be exposed? Yeah. So, and also if you think about it, like the Morris Smith question, like, does this toxic culture have to do with the hiring decisions in the NFL as it pertains to front office types and head coach especially, right? Mm-hmm. And you can imagine if the NFLPA, I don't think it's going to happen, but if they manage to somehow get those remaining emails to be leaked, if they're not going to be leaked some more, can you imagine if you see all these people, this huge power brokers making all these racist and sexist remarks or co-signing to what Gruden was saying. And not only that, but even on the email chain, because if you're on the email chain, that means you must agree with this dude for him to feel comfortable with telling you all this stuff.
Yes.
So you can imagine if there's an owner or two out there or more, if there's some general managers out there involved in these hiring decisions.
Which is why, Scott, when people we're talking about Tom Brady, well, not even Tom Brady, with my main man Robert Kraft down there getting his field on down in Tampa.
Yeah.
With the massage party,
right? Yeah.
And people were talking about running an investigation. Owners don't want that.
Right.
No, because you don't want to find out what they're going through. We already seen photos of Jerry Jones with his porn star. Yo, you sure you want to run an investigation? The same thing with Tom Brady in the cell phone situation. They destroyed it. Yo, you don't know what was sent around to whom and how disparaging it could be. Which is why I'm like, you know what? I get why they did it. For the sake of the investigation, yeah, it's kind of grimy, but I get why they did it. Just like this.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't go through the full investigation in the first place. Yo, I know other people were involved. I know other owners and GMs.
That's why it's the tip of the iceberg.
Were involved.
It's the tip of the iceberg. Jon Gruden is just a fall guy.
Yes.
There's many of this shit.
Yeah, he's a huge patsy in the situation, which is why I'm like, the league don't want this come out.
Yeah.
Unless they have to, which is why it was smart of these women to attempt to get the sponsors to commission these sponsors to lean on the league and get them to leak out these emails. But they know if they leak these emails, it's going to be damning.
It's a shit show.
A lot of people.
It's a shit show.
A show.
Yes, it will.
Yes. But the one thing is this, though. I truly believe that Jon Gruden got off easy by resigning.
Yeah. Because
of the simple fact that there should have been a conversation had between him and his players. Yes. The reason why I say that is because
that's why they call for him to be. That's why they call for him to be fired. Because I think the perfect punishment with the big lips remark would be to face his players every day.
Yes, right.
That would be the punishment for it.
You know, his racist comments, having to talk to his black players. His homophobic comments, having to deal with Carl Nassib.
Yes.
Talking about an organization. And I understand why he resigned, because the organization has been known for inclusion almost its entire existence.
Yeah. Al
You
Davis
know,
and the son, yeah.
with Al Davis, with Mark Davis,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the signing of a Mexican quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
the signing of the first black head coach in the league,
And the first
you know,
Latino head coach too.
the first Latina head coach,
Mm-hmm.
you know, also the signing of a woman as an executive within an organization.
Amy Trask, yep.
Yes, so there's so much inclusion that this organization has been spearheading.
Yeah.
To have someone in-house say things like that up until his hiring in 2018 is damning. So yes, I see why when it came up to 2018, and well, not even the time, the abundance of what was said.
Right.
It was like, yo, you gotta go.
You got to
We're
get
going to
out
allow
of
you
here.
to resign. We're not going to fire you. We're going to allow you to resign in the situation because it's way too much for us to handle. We can't. We just can't.
And speaking of calling the CB, it's been noted that he's taking leave from the team.
Wow.
It's been said that he's taking leave right now, which is fucked up because I thought he showed a lot of courage and coming out, and not only that, he's performing on the field. He's having he's a damn good football player. People are missing that point. Yeah. And he's using that as this platform to use this platform to talk about his sexuality, his coming out, and his wanting to support other gay athletes and LGBTQ causes. And he's been doing a good job of balancing all that and using that and just still playing well. He didn't get as overwhelmed as Michael Sam did back in the day. Yeah. So this is perfect for calling Nassib, but it's been noted. I got on my note alert to Bleacher Report, wherever he's taking time away from the team right now. So you know how pissed off he has to be. I can imagine. Right? So I mean, it's just fucked up all the way around. And you can tell the Raiders didn't show up against the Chicago Bears at all Sunday. So they had to be thinking about what Gruden was saying too. So he had to go. Yeah. He had to go. Either way, he had to go. And to my white friends, well, not just white friends, but other people who complain of cancel culture. Again, we're not calling for cancel culture. Sometimes you catch your own ass. Yeah. So this will happen here. But this is how I like to bring this home. Say like if I, and a white friend, especially if he's Jewish. Like I have a neighborhood close friend who's Jewish. So I'm gonna use him as an example. Suppose 8, 9, 10 years ago, I sent the email disparaging not only him, but people of the Jewish faith, of the Jewish ethnicity. Calling them all sorts of names, playing all sorts of stereotypical bullshit, right? And just make other disparaging comments. Suppose that finds a lot of day. Suppose he were to find out and present this to me. And me trying to make the lame excuse I didn't mean to hurt anybody. Let's move forward. Don't you think that my neighbor is going to look at me in a very different light? Yeah, most definitely. Forward? That's why Gruden had to go. He couldn't do this and expect to lead a football team. He could. It'd be hard to get players to trust him. People don't understand that. So again, this is me using an example of me and my neighbor who's a good friend. Of him finding that out 8 years ago in the past. Yeah. And looking at me in a different light. Because that's going to happen. That will happen with anybody. So this is not canceling. This is when you cancel your own ass. Yeah. That's what Jon Gruden did. Yeah. So again, as we said earlier, his punishment was just a black comment. I know people would go, well, it took homosexual homophobic and sexist comment to get him out, now a black comment. Yeah. Again, you don't understand the nuance of this. The fact that he had to go and face his black superstar players was a huge punishment enough. And looking them in the eye, knowing that they do not trust him as far as they could throw him. Yeah. And you saw what happened against the Bears this past Sunday when they did not show up at all. If y'all don't think that's a punishment for that alone, He was going to the season was going to be lost at that point. Let's just be real.
Oh, if he stayed, most definitely.
It was going to be
Most
it's going to be a lost season, and
Yeah.
then Mark Davis would have no choice but to just get rid of him anyway.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of the end at this point because of that.
Mhm.
But when other things came on, other elements, other variables came in, and the volume of it and the amount of time that sped up that process of getting him out of there anyway. So either way, he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a racist trip that he made,
Uh-huh.
it would have been a matter of time before he would have been up on out of there. So anyway, so that's how I feel about that. I'm just interested to see what else goes on, because the NFL is going to safeguard those emails, but someone's going to leak something.
The same people who leak these emails are going to leak those. The thing
I'm
is,
sure they are.
is how it's going to be handled.
Right. How's it going to be handled?